So one of the things that I help people do is identify what stage their business is in. So there's 5 stages to the business. The way I have it broken down, stage 1 is obviously when you first start out, and stage 5 is when you're getting ready to exit, whether that's selling to an internal person, selling to an external person, hiring somebody to run it, and you move to the Caribbean, whatever your version of that is. But there's basically 5 stages. And in each of those stages, there's a separate sets of problems, and you can learn more about that at Service Industry Success, where you can get a copy of the success path I'm describing. You can get your copy of that for free, and it'll walk you through what those are. A very stage 3 problem and is shifting from delegating tasks to delegating decisions. And this is one of the areas where business owners really get hung up because they're battling between these two very compelling forces. One is I want to have a lot of control over what's happening in my business, and the other is I want to have a lot of freedom. And you cannot have both. The challenge is you have to kind of pick a horse here through stage 3. Now, eventually, when you get in the late stages of stage 4 and stage 5, you can have both. You can be making a lot of money and have lots of control and have lots of freedom, and you have all these procedures in place, and you have a leadership team in place to run things, and you eventually will get all those things. Through stage 3, though, you have to begin delegating decisions, not delegating tasks, because you're only one person. There is a finite number of operations and procedures and processes and outcomes you can oversee in a given day or week and have a reasonable expectation that you can accomplish those well. At some point, the operation will get big enough where you have to stop delegating tasks, you have to start delegating decisions so other people can make decisions on how things are supposed to be to free you up to run the bigger picture. If you're a cruise ship captain, you can't be spending time in the engineering room fixing a problem with the engine and going into catering and deciding what the menu is going to be and going to housekeeping and deciding what shape they're going to fold the towels into every morning and also be running the ship and deciding where we're going. You can't do all those things. There's a finite number of things we can do, and there's a finite number of decisions we can make and operations and procedures and outcomes we can oversee. The challenge is business owners don't trust their employees generally enough to delegate those decisions, so they withhold these decisions and they keep them really tight. And then when they reach the capacity of what they can do, they have to choose, do I give up control or do I give up freedom? And just focusing on this notion that I've got to stop delegating tasks and I have to start delegating decisions oftentimes changes our perspective in the context of what we're trying to accomplish. So in the beginning stages, we give people just enough information to be successful because we got so many things going on. We're doing this and we're putting this fire out and we're jumping over here to solve this customer problem. And we give people just enough information to be successful at tasks. Well, as the company grows, we have to give them enough information to make decisions, not to perform tasks. And we generally, historically, have not done this because we give them enough information to help us be successful in overseeing the things. But at a certain point, we have to give up control of things to them so they can be successful in making decisions because we can't be everywhere all the time. Hit that ceiling on how many things we can oversee, that is, in my estimation, where businesses, when you hear about the 80% that fail in the first 5 years or 80% that fail in the first 2 years, around this time is, in my estimation, where that failure begins to happen. Because in some cases, they're just not willing to give up control and they're not willing to delegate decisions, in which case they have to be the only ones, they're the bottleneck, they're the only ones who can make decisions, in which case they can't leave. They can't even take a 4-day weekend. They can't take a 2-week vacation. They can't go to their kid's soccer game. They can't do any of these things because they have to make all the decisions. And the only way out of that is to educate and train and empower people enough so that they can make decisions. And if we're not willing to do that, we're going to be stuck in this bottleneck situation until something gives, and something is going to give. And at a certain size, the company is stronger than the individual's willpower. The company is a bigger entity than we can control. So we will either say uncle and relent and throw our hands up and say, I can't have control anymore. I'm going to have to to get freedom. I'm going to have to delegate some decisions, or the company will have to shrink back down to a size where we can maintain that level of control we want, and we can oversee every single critical outcome and operation. One of those two things will happen. There's no third door. We either will shrink the company down so we can oversee all the operations we want to, or we will empower people and train them to make good decisions.